Angry Birds, love it or hate it, it's one of the most popular video game franchises of all time, with the likes of Mario, Sonic and Pokemon, with many outstanding games, from slingshotting birds into buildings to rescue their eggs from the pigs, to racing against the pigs in homemade go-karts. However, as much as the franchise is loved by millions, Rovio have made some controversial decisions with the franchise, some which were not as bad to some which are absolutely ridiculous and greedy, which I talked about in another video on my channel. However, if there's one thing which I haven't quite touched upon in that video, it's what I think will happen in the future of this series. Will there be more Angry Birds Blast games, or will there be new movies? Well, today, I'm going to cover the future of Angry Birds. So, as of making this video July 2020, Rovio are in a pretty awkward situation with the Angry Birds fanbase. Half of the fans are considered to be older fans, which are calling out Rovio for removing the earlier Angry Birds games, and the decisions they've made with the newer ones, while the other half of the fanbase knows the modern fans don't really care as much about the older games, and like the newer games more. Having a split fanbase is difficult for any company, because every future decision they make will satisfy half of the fanbase and will aggravate the other half. Therefore, Rovio must satisfy both halves of the franchise individually. Now, I know what you're thinking, why doesn't Rovio just bring back the old games and continue to update them? Well, it isn't as easy as that, unfortunately. Although Rovio officially stated that they were removed so they could focus on updating the newer games, which usually makes sense. However, when the older games are doing better than the newer games, it's stupid just to remove them, isn't it? Well, I think Rovio did this to try and trick the average player into downloading the newer games and get hooked on them, leading Rovio to make more money, which just comes out as plain greedy. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but bear with me. You can see Rovio trying to do this as they changed the Angry Birds 2 and Angry Birds Casual icons to look very similar to the original game's icon. So, you can clearly see Rovio trying to trick innocent players of the old game to downloading the newer games. It's been almost a year since the original games were removed, and surely if this didn't work, Rovio would have relisted them by now. So, this must definitely be working for them. You can see why Rovio said they are removed for a test now. Now, this begs the question, will Rovio ever release the classic games again? Unfortunately, it looks like they'll never return from the looks of things. However, if this eventually stops working for Rovio, they might release an Angry Birds classic game featuring designs and a physics system closer to the old titles. However, this will be filled with ads and microtransactions, so it wouldn't be the same experience. This means the fanbase will be split for the foreseeable future. Now, this brings me to my next point. What future Angry Birds games will be released? From the looks of things, we'll definitely see more Angry Birds titles styled off other games, such as how Angry Birds Blast is pretty much a Candy Crush clone of Angry Birds characters. Rovio's most recent title, Small Town Murders, is also strikingly similar to Lily's Garden, or even Homescapes, which is really disappointing to see Rovio doing this. Rovio's direction of their games has changed, from taking bold risks and making original games such as Angry Birds, to playing it safe and copying other games, and putting their own spin on it, like how Angry Birds Blast is pretty much a Candy Crush clone with Angry Birds characters shoved in. Now, you may be asking, why is a studio such as Rovio doing this? Well, this formula of copying successful games is a trend of the mobile gaming industry, which has been around ever since the industry was introduced. Even when Angry Birds released, other developers were copying the game and releasing their own versions of it. And over time, Rovio saw the old Angry Birds style wasn't working as well as it was, and Rovio wanted to make as much money as possible, so they ended up adapting to this formula. It's really disappointing to see Rovio, a king in the mobile game industry, just adapt to this greedy formula. It even got to the point where Rovio was starting to copy the Homescapes ads. Well, then again, Rovio's a company, and they've got to make money somehow, even if it means following stupid mobile game trends. But you may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute MRG, Rovio released Angry Birds Go, which utilises the same formula as Mario Kart, so Rovio has been doing this formula for even longer, and yes, the game does have its similarities with Mario Kart. However, Angry Birds Go is quite different from Mario Kart, as they both have completely different gameplay and storyline, which makes them different from one another. However, Newer Rovio and Angry Birds games aren't really different from the titles they're copying, so you could say Rovio are closely following this formula way more than they did before, as back then, it wasn't their main direction. Now, because I mentioned how the classic Angry Birds formula isn't working as well for them anymore, will we see an Angry Birds 3 in future? It is possible, however, Rovio is not focused on making another sequel to the original Angry Birds. Instead, they are focused on experimenting with modifying the formula and implementing new mechanics from other games such as Angry Birds Casual. Angry Birds 2 is also still very successful and growing, so Rovio are still focused on maintaining that title. Another point I'd like to make is the Angry Birds franchise's audience. Angry Birds these days isn't a franchise meant for adults and kids. It's now more focused on kids more than adults, so younger kids aren't likely to notice how similar the modern Angry Birds games are to the ones they're copying, and that's the main reason why Rovio follows this formula. It's because kids don't care if they're copies, they're still going to like them because it's Angry Birds. So, in the future, we're definitely going to see more Angry Birds games following this formula. There is one positive we can take out the future of the series though. I do believe Rovio will make more Angry Birds VR and AR games, utilising the classic formula and providing new experiences for the franchise. I do see Angry Birds AR and VR games being successful for Rovio in the future. Now, the final topic about the future of Angry Birds I'd like to cover in this video is the future of the movies. The Angry Birds movies are a major source of revenue for Rovio, as they're still very successful and make millions, with a third movie on the way soon. The movies are both pretty average, especially the second one, however, they're both still extremely popular with kids. But, to predict the future of the movies, we need to look at how successful each one was, starting with the first movie. The Angry Birds movie was released on May 20th, 2016 for most regions. This movie is pretty much a backstory of the franchise itself, showing how Red, an outcast from all the other birds, would team up with Bomb and Chuck to help save the birds' eggs from Leonard and the pigs. The movie's story is fairly solid, having a fair amount of references to the original games, and stays true to the source material, which is expected from a video game movie. The movie was liked by fans too, although it wasn't liked as much by some people, but nonetheless, it was a good movie, and I think that as well. The movie even made $352.3 million in the box office, which makes it one of the most successful video game movies of all time. But with all that success, it's without a doubt Rovio and Sony would make another one. The Angry Birds Movie 2 released on August 13th, 2019 in most regions. Set 3 years after the first movie, The Angry Birds Movie 2 is about how the birds and pigs must team up to stop Zeta, a bird living on Eagle Island, who ends up becoming Mighty Eagle's wife, from taking over both islands. Eventually, Zeta comes to terms with the birds and pigs. Silver, a bird from Angry Birds 2, who is actually Chuck's sister, is also introduced in this movie. Overall, this movie wasn't quite as well received as the first movie, like most movie sequels, however, still managed to make $154 million in the box office, only around half of what the original movie made. However, it was still a success, and a third movie has recently been announced to be put into production. Now, for future movies to be possible, the third Angry Birds movie needs to perform as well as the second movie. However, this movie will likely be worse than the second movie, as most movies tend to get worse by every sequel. The Ice Age trilogy is a really good example about how a movie franchise got worse over time. So, even if the third movie is good or bad, it all depends on how much it makes, and seeming as it's releasing in 2021, and how the current pandemic will most likely still be around, I don't see this movie performing as well as the previous two movies. So, there's a chance that there might not be any more movies after the third, but it'll most likely satisfy Rovio and Sony, and we may see a fourth, but we can't really make any predictions until the movie is actually released. So there you have it, my thoughts on the future of Angry Birds. The franchise is still going incredibly strong, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. However, the future does look uncertain from most people's perspectives, from the way Rovio is handling it. Also, before the video ends, I'd like to make it clear that I don't hate Rovio or Angry Birds. I've been a fan since the very beginning, and always will be. However, I do have to admit the decisions Rovio have made with the franchise have just come out as plain greedy. Anyway, I think it's time to end this video. If you enjoyed it and want to support my channel and the content I make, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Make sure to share the video online and with people you know, as that really helps a lot too. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure to check out my Discord server too. Links to all are in the description. Also, special thanks to the Foster55555 for helping make this video. What are your thoughts on the direction the franchise is heading? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.